Yo, welcome to the final episode of the Complextro series, making a track from scratch. Today is of course the mastering episode. We're going to do it inside Ozone. Where we left off on the last episode, it was just mixing things, finishing touches, minor details. All I did was just grab like all the channels and bring them down in volume a bit so we had a bit more headroom with mastering. And then rendered it out to 24-bit WAV. 44.1 kilohertz, and yeah, it's in here. I've also got a few reference tracks which I'm going to use later on when comparing and etc etc. First up is Wolfgang Gartner's Shrunken Heads. The second track is also a Wolfgang Gartner song, believe it or not. He is a Don at Complextro, so why not? And lastly is a Maud Fustang song called Lick the Rainbow. This song, the mixing and mastering so on point, so of course I had to drag it in. And it's a bit Complextro as well, so bonus points. Saw wave bassline goals. Let me tell you that. Alright, anyway, let's just solo our track, what we've got. Yes, it is a bit quiet. I'll turn that up in the edit, don't worry. You guys have been watching the series, you should know what the track sounds like. Alright, my chair has just reached next level fucking squeak. So if you hear squeaks in this video, I do apologize, my chair is about to be thrown out the window. Clear this away, we don't need the default preset on Ozone. I might just drag that down there. Now we can see the track, sick. Just quickly, like I said in the dubstep mastering stock plugins Ableton video, this master won't necessarily suit your master, but is a good general kind of guidelines of what processing needs to be done in order to make it loud, fat, etc etc. So don't just copy the exact settings into your project and expect a bang over master. That made me sound like I'm the world's greatest mastering engineer. I am not. So the general guidelines like when to boost, when to notch, when to increase this, increase that, blah blah. First up is an equalizer. I'm going to leave this on analog setting and I'm going to change band 1 to high pass and brick wall that. So now it sounds absolutely amazing. No, we're going to cut this off at around 30. Yeah, definitely 30. Humans can only hear about 20 hertz to 22,000 hertz. Oh, it might be 20,000. Humans can't hear below 20 hertz. So anything below that, it'd just be a unnecessary waste of headroom. There's some debate whether to chop it at 20, whether to chop it at 30. What does deadmau5 do? I think he's 30.
But I do tend to cut below 20 hertz just because, you know, you're not going to hear it. It's not sub.
I mean, come on, I can't really hear any difference if I chop it at 30 or 20. Well, you can't chop it at 20. No, Ozone knows that humans can't hear below that, so. Moving on, I'm going to move my mouse over to this side and I'm just going to use like the scroll wheel to kind of zoom it out. And then I'm going to take one of these bands, which is set as bell curve at the moment. I'm just going to bring that up quite sharp. Make sure the Q is set quite sharp as well. Quite narrow. And then I'm just going to sweep this across the frequency spectrum and pick up any nasty kind of resonating sounds. And then we're just going to drop the gain down to kind of get rid of that. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with another band. There's one. Drop it. The amount you drop it by is totally up to you. I wouldn't go too far past that, otherwise it might detract from the character of your track. I've done that before and it sounds like trash, so do what sounds best with your track is essentially the rule of mastering. Yeah, there's another. I do apologize for that. Why was it set on high shelf? Oh, it's because of the end band. Anyway. We don't typically want to do too many low end, low mids, whatever around here, notches. With the high frequencies, they're kind of closer together compared to, I mean, 100 to 200 is here. 6,000 to 10,000 is only taking up this much space, so if you kind of detract from the low end, it can really make your bass and your doof go bye-bye, so that's why we don't do that. Yeah, let's bypass. I think I may have turned that down a bit too much. It's kind of losing a bit of character. So I'm just gonna bring the gain up a little bit on those. Why is it? Oh yeah, because I did that thing before with the EQ, my bad. Okay, moving on, let's add another module and let's add imager this time. So this is controlling your stereo image, what sounds wide, what sounds centered, etc, etc. So I'm soloing this band, so we can hear bass. I'm just gonna grab this 140 and drag it down to about maybe 90. You kind of want a centered bass, so this being super wide and this being mono, I'm gonna drag it maybe down 50-ish. Even though that sounds sick, but I think I explained it in the other mastering video. You don't really have stereo subs, so you kind of want to keep that mono. Solo this band, which is width. I absolutely love to push out the low mids as much as possible, so yeah, let's just maybe about 30. When we reference the other tracks, we're going to come back to this imager and see if we've got our sounds too wide or too centered, etc, etc. We're just kind of laying down a foundation right here. This section is roughly phone speakers. It's where your melodies come through. It's clarity, it's detail, so maybe you keep that a little bit wide. And then your super, super high end, I might push that out to match kind of the low mids. Let's see how that sounds. I'm happy with that. Let's move on to Exciter. This is where a lot of producers go overkill. They're just like, Exciter, it's gonna make my track sound better. Crank everything up. No, 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 no. Just add a few bumps here and there to kind of increase maybe what your track's lacking. If it's lacking high end, which my tracks usually do. I know to bump it up a little bit here. You can just like crank it to 50 and then use the mix to kind of bring it into the mix. But when I'm mastering, I just leave the mix at 100. And if my track's lacking bass, I'm just going to turn that up in the multiband compression dynamic section, which is coming up right now. Why is the fucking camera zooming in on my face? Oh my god, it's doing it again. Could you not? I typically do that in the multiband compression. It's doing it again! Stop zooming in, camera! Yeah, like I said, if I want to boost things or take things away, I'll do it in like the multiband section, which is coming up now. Exciting, just like a little bit of flair here and there. Alright, dynamics. This can look a bit daunting, like looking at a mixing deck and thinking, holy shit, what do all these knobs do? A compressor and a limiter repeated 4 times, dedicated to a section of the frequency spectrum. And loop a bit of it. And let's work on the bass. So I'm just going to slow this part here. Maybe drag the crossover, so the point where it changes from this band to the low mids band, maybe 114-ish. And then I'm going to switch to this view here, which shows the gain reduction. So I don't really want to do that much compression to the sub bass. Maybe just try to keep it intact. So I'm going to go for a low-ish attack and moderate release. My aim with this is the compressor kicks in after the kick drum, so it kind of latches onto the sub bass. Yeah, so you see all those ducks. Say if I did that, then, oh my god, I didn't even know it could disappear. I haven't cranked it that hard before. So I might go around there. Bit of a hard knee as well. And yeah, ratio 2 to 1's fine. Yeah, the sub's really pumping through now, which I wanted. So let's move on to the next band. Take that solo off and move it on to the mids. Let's switch back to this band again. And kind of repeat the same thing. Maybe miss out on that kick drum and latch on to the chords, the basses, the synths, etc. But maybe a bit harsher this time. So like there-ish. A bit of a stronger ratio. Okay, that's a bit too much. Oh no, it's just because that bit came in. And attack and release, maybe around 30 and 5. So the attack and release characters determine when the compressor is going to latch onto the sound. So when the sound comes through higher than 21.6 dB, waits 36 milliseconds to apply a ratio of 3 to 1. And when the sound ducks back below 21.6 decibels, which is shown kind of the blue bar here, and the compressor takes 8 seconds to let it go. I think that's how you explain it. So it's doing a bit of gain reduction. I'm happy with that. Let's just move on to the higher end and we'll sort that out. Notice as I'm working up the frequency spectrum, getting higher and higher, notice the parameters are getting a lot more vicious and tighter. So harder ratios and then quicker attacks and release times. Happy with that. And let's move on to the highest frequencies. Let's just drop the threshold. Cool, increase the ratio. So you might be thinking at this stage, what am I listening out for? Like, what are the giveaways? What should I be focusing on? So basically, you don't want your sound to be too mushed like this. Can't even hear it. You want it to be nice and punchy, which is controlled by the attack and release. Say if I had like that and there. I mean, look at that. That's just lightning bolts. You don't want lightning bolts. The release is too long, so you just generally don't want to squash sound. Like, if it's doing that action, imagine what that's doing to your sound. So while I was editing this video, I couldn't help but notice why my high end was just so smothered. And then I take a closer look, and what your boy has done is he's left the ratio on 30 to 1. Oh my goodness. I didn't mean to do that, of course. I meant to just show you the effects of 30 to 1 as a ratio on the compression. But yeah, I left it there. My bad. Let's just pretend for the rest of this video it's 4 to 1 instead of 30 to 1. My bad, everybody. My bad. You just kind of want like a weird wave that's happening. That's not too excessive, it's just doing bits here and there. I mean, would you surf that wave? No, you would maybe surf that way. Oh yeah, that bit. So think what you would surf, and if you would surf that compression setting, then you should be good. That was a weird analogy. So since we've been applying all this kind of like compression and this gain reduction, it's like pushing it down, we need to bring those volumes back up. So I'm just going to go back to the sub and then listen for what I think is an appropriate amount of sub. Sick. Move on to mids. Sick. Like I said at the end of the stereo image, we are going to reference this later on to kind of set these values properly. For now, it's kind of just like setting out a rough level. So then we reference, we compare, see what we're missing, see what we've got too much of, etc, etc. A lot of that is involved with mastering. Oh yes. And then I'm just going to use a maximizer lastly to kind of increase the sound and make it loud AF. I like to use IRC4, just leave it at the modern setting, true peak limiting, and then character pretty fast. Ceiling negative 0.2. I mean, you can have 0, but if you're bouncing to MP3, it's probably not a good idea. This whole argument behind that, I am not the best person to explain that. If you want to look it up, you can. I'm just going to crank this threshold down. I'm going to close Ozone briefly, go to the session view in Ableton, turn off all that, and drag this bar up. So I'm going to compare it to the other levels of these tracks. Could you not just start from there, please? Thank you. Okay. So here's ours. The darker green bar is our peaks. We've kind of set that with the negative 0.2. And then the rest of the tracks we just kind of compare. Oh my god, that's loud. So what we're looking for is the green bar here, and this is kind of like your average level of sound. It's called the RMS. The higher the RMS is, the louder your song is, and this is where the whole loudness wars came from. It was originally down at like negative 18 in the 80s, and now it's up at like negative 6, negative 4. And that Maud Fustang song looks like it was on negative 2, so that's freaking insane. So we can either increase or decrease this average level in Ozone using the maximizer, and generally just give the song loudness. So for example, we also want to kind of keep it on the same level with the Wolfgang Gartner and Maud Fustang songs. We'll listen out for what they're doing. Negative 4-ish. Negative 4, negative 3. Oh my god, I didn't realize Complextro was so freaking crunched. And Maud Fustang, that's like negative 3 to negative 2. Damn! Alright, what are we sitting at? Negative 4-ish on the louder parts. I mean, look at that. I don't want to really push that any harder. That's just loud enough. Yeah, I'm gonna cap it there. If you push it too high and you get too loud, it distorts, it sounds awful. You get your track as loud as you want it to. I just like to reference to other tracks, see what they're at, and probably kind of keep it on a consistent-ish level. See what's good with my song when I'm mastering it. If I think I can get it louder, I will. If I don't, like this instant, then I just won't push it. But I mean, come on, that's like negative 4, negative 6 to negative 4, depending on what's playing. But yeah, and that's the maximizer. That's where you get your loudness from, ladies and gentlemen. Or do we cheat? Do we cheat? Fuck it, let's cheat. So there's a little thing in Ozone called EQ matching, and it just takes our frequency spectrum and kind of maps it out, so yeah, load up a new EQ. I'm using post EQ since I can't use the EQ anymore because we're already using it. So post equalizer is the next best thing. Switch that to digital and then click matching. And then you basically record your audio into Ozone and then record the reference, and then it'll take the two spectrums of your track and your reference tracks and kind of fuse them together so your track has the same frequency spectrum as your reference track. That was a trashy description, but I'm gonna roll with that. So this is our song, and solo this again. And just play it on the drum. And I'm gonna stop that there, and it's set in this yellow bar. Now the thing with EQ matching is not all songs are in the same key, so not all songs will have like different harmonic bumps here and there. If you're matching it with a song that's in a completely different key, it might sound a bit weird. But usually, I don't know, 9 out of 10 times when I EQ match inside Ozone, it sounds sick, just in little amounts, which I'm about to show you. Anyway, which one should I do? I just really like this mix down of this Maud Fustang song, so I'm just going to drag that in. I'm going to turn off all our processing. And then go back to post EQ. Click capture on the reference audio. Solid that, mate. Might be similar keys, so fingers crossed. Alright, I'm going to stop that there. It's also a good way to reference your frequencies when you're mastering. See what you're missing. So I noticed that I could probably bump up the bass a bit more. Mids are fairly consistent with the Mustang song, and the highs are pretty consistent as well. So this should be a good EQ match. I'm going to turn the matching on. Go back and turn on all my processing. Drag the EQ inside. So the maximizer is the final step. Nothing gets past that. I'm going to move that. Bring that back in. That doesn't really matter. Smoothing is how much you want this EQ curve to resemble the reference track. So if I have it at 0, it's going to be what Ozone picked up. If I have it at 100%, it's going to be like a rough EQ kind of gentle curve. So I'm going to keep that at maybe... Alright, 1% is where it goes hardcore, so maybe 6%. And the amount, I'm just going to go 100 to show you guys what it sounds like. Keep in mind the Mustang song was like a 320 MP3 kind of track. It might be the iTunes equivalent to that. I think like 25-30 sounds right. So that is EQ matching in a nutshell. Yeah. Let's move on to referencing other tracks, which I said we were going to do a while ago before I got distracted by EQ matching. So I'm just going to play a bit of our track and then a bit of some reference track and kind of listen out for the stereo image, see if it's wider than ours, see if I can boost any parts. I forgot I deleted that a bit. My bad. I'm noticing all the other tracks kind of have like a tighter bass sound, so I might go back into the exciter, maybe bump up the bass just a little bit. Increase the threshold on the low band of the compressor. Boost a little bit more. Cool, back to referencing. We'll listen out for the stereo image. I think this is a bit too wide. Yeah. It's not capturing my sub bass. Also noticing the reference tracks, the high end's a little bit more crisp, so increase the exciter a bit. Let's see if we want to. Okay, if it needs it, then fine. And remember, there's always the parallel setting and the multiband, which control the dry signal or your process signal. So I might kind of blend that. Alright. Not bad, not bad. maximize, I was gonna say the master, the maximizer is crunching at that point. No! Where is it? Oh my goodness. Butcher, that just sounded, oh. Okay, I think that's good. A little bit more since we made that character faster. Never really noticed what the stereo unlink does, but I'd say if your track had like hard out panning, you definitely want to take advantage of the stereo unlink. But this kind of really doesn't. It's just a bit wide in some parts, so I'm gonna leave that as it is. Oh my goodness. Okay, last thing, dither. I'm gonna turn that on. Filter the DC offset. This gives you a little bit more headroom. Each time I mention DC offset in a video, my description gets worse and worse, so I'm just not going to describe it at all. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to look up what a DC offset does. Dither amount, yeah, medium, limit peaks, auto blanking. Yeah, we're going to render at 16-bit depth, so let's probably keep it at that. And yeah, let's reset that. When did it kick in? Obviously kicked in at some point. Anyway, it's a good idea to leave filter DC offset on. That's the basis of mastering your track inside Ozone. From here on, it's just kind of a lot of repeating the last few steps of referencing your track, comparing it to other tracks, playing it on different stereo systems like your phone speakers, your car speakers, maybe laptop speakers, proper speakers, etc, etc. You just want to play it on as many systems as possible, make sure it sounds good across all those systems. What I do from here on is I take a break, come back half an hour later with fresh ears, listen to the track, see if there's anything wrong with it that I pick up straight away because I haven't just been listening to it on repeat for 50-ish minutes, reference other tracks and keep repeating those steps, taking breaks, referencing, etc, etc, until I get a final track that I'm happy with and happy to release it anywhere that I want to release it and check it up on SoundCloud. I don't know what your plans are for your tracks, but who knows where it's going to end up, so you want to sound good on everything. Quick recap of what I just did. Basically, start off with some EQ, cut the low end, cut the very, very, very low end out, to give us some more headroom. If there's any frequencies below that, they're getting cut out. Made some EQ notches, found some harsh frequencies and just ducked them out a bit. Moved on to the imager, crafted our stereo image, made the sub a bit more center and pushed out the rest of the frequencies just a bit more to give it some stereo width. Exciter, didn't go too ham, although I did go a bit hard on the final band, which is like 10k and above. But the track kind of lacked this band of frequencies, so yeah. Moving on to dynamics, we switched the view and solved the individual channels so we could see the gain reduction happening and set the attack, release and ratio and maybe a few knees here and there. Actually, I could probably do that on the low one as well, set that a bit faster. And did that for each band. Then we maximized the track, got it louder, and then finally did an EQ match with the more Mustang song so we could sculpt the track a little bit further and give it some gentle pushes here and there to kind of match the spectrum of the Maud Mustang Lick the Rainbow song. Yes, it is called Lick the Rainbow. What a weird name for a track, but I know it fits. And then lastly, moved on to dither, filtered the DC offset, and turned on a few more buttons here and there. And then that is what we did. There's only one thing left to do. It's the end of the series. We've got to listen to the track in its entirety, start to finish, with our rough Ozone master on it. Then I probably need some breaks, come back to it, listen to it, blah, blah, what I said before. Yeah, but we're going to listen to it now. It's done. It's the end of the series. We've got to listen together and see how this track turned out completely from scratch. had to turn the high frequencies down a bit. You know, in hindsight, probably wise to reference other parts of the track instead of just focusing on the drop for the whole tutorial. But I'd do that after this, don't worry. I wouldn't just make sure it sounded good on the drop and that's it. Although, maybe. It's sounding fresh so far, I like it. Yes, I definitely stole this bit from Shrunken Heads by Wolfgang Gartner. It's too fat. Oh my, the R. Yo! Jeez. Oh shit, that was sick as fuck, damn! Woo! Alright. Yeah, alright, next track from scratch, Hybrid Trap, coming soon. You heard it here first. Thanks for watching, guys, and see ya.